You're listening to the Seen and Solved podcast, brought to you by Hubbard-Hall. Better results, less chemistry.
So welcome to this edition of Seen and Solved. I'm your host, Tim Pennington. Today I'm going to be joined by Scott Papst, who's the Senior Vice President of Specialty Sales and Business Development of Hubbard-Hall. And we're going to be talking not just about what goes on inside the shops, but more of a trends and market expansion, what he sees goes on as it relates to the finishing industry. But Scott, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah. Specialty sales, let's talk about that. What does your job entail? Specialty sales and business development. Tell us just a little bit about that, if you could.
Well, within Hubbard-Hall, we historically we serve kind of two markets. We have a distribution chemical resale business, primarily in the northeastern United States. But then we also have our own metal finishing proprietary products. And so specialty to us are the products that we blend, our formulas, which we do manufacture in both the Waterbury, Connecticut, Whitmer Lake, Michigan, and I am over promoting the sales and the technology of those products, outside of the Northeast and worldwide.
As we talk about, the products that you all have, technology has certainly changed the way that you all communicate and provide information to the industry. So I want to talk a bit about, technology, how it's sort of transforming what you all are doing as you're working with your customers, and really, almost what the role of the people from Hubbard-Hall who are out there working with customers as well. How has the technology transformed that, or has it much?
Really, for the past decade, we use the term internally about building the brain. That's what technology is about. There's so much in, I've been with the company for over 30 years, and there's a lot of information, in my head, as in many of the other team members, but it's not readily available to the newer people or to the customers. So how can we improve our responsiveness? How do we, make information more retrievable? Well, that's putting it somewhere where it can be managed. Right. Well, that has been, though, a challenge in that. So kind of talking over the last decade, where you're asking whether it's our tech team or our sales team to put data, in a database, whether it's the CRM, where the information can be pulled out by marketing. And, it was a necessary evil in a way, in that you do it, but now it's adding to your workload. It's not something that the sales team enjoyed, because they would be out working 8 hours a day and now have 2 hours of data entry that we're asking for them to do. So, it was seen as taking them away from the building the relationships that they're so good at with the customers. But what's been really exciting recently is the changes in technology. We all experienced, during COVID, one of the good things that came out of it was advancing technology, Zoom, Teams meetings, where customers, sales team members wouldn't have used that tool unless it was for the pandemic. Now it's every day. So, like here regionally in the Southeast, where I'm located in South Carolina, there's hours or multiple hours in between accounts. So you may be only making 2 or 3 calls a day. And now, not every time do you have to get in the car and make these journeys. You could be sitting there effectively at all points in your territory, getting great response to your customer base. So that's just an example how things have sped up. But now with, AI, there's a lot of new tools coming out where, that extra work that we were asking of the sales team or the technical team to put these notes into the CRMs, these tools now are making that much easier. Your Teams or Zoom call, you have apps that can record, take the minutes, the notes, so you could send out nice, effective follow-up emails where it's clear, or if it wasn't clear, someone asks a question, to really shorten the amount of time that it takes to figure out the needs of the customer. So it's kind of exciting where the technology is now is the tools kind of align with it to make it a more efficient process.
I was really amazed by that. I did a Zoom call once. I actually originated it recently. Usually I'm on the other end of it. And when it was done, it actually did a recap for me and gave me action points. I was amazed. It was great. I mean, it really was. It summarized it and then gave me action points. Tim will do this and things like that. So that's really some of the technology you're using then, correct?
Right. And and by able to, do that, follow-up minute, share it to really make sure you're understood, because so many of us, we say the same words, but we all have different meanings. So to really to get the clarity to what we're agreeing on and who's doing what, it's really improving the process.
Things change over time. You talked about 30 years that you've been with Hubbard-Hall alone. Things change over time. What strategies, like I said, do you try to implement with your team on adapting to changing market conditions? I mean, and I'm specifically, I guess customers, they want to be communicated to in different ways, right? And that's evolved, right? When email came about, they loved that, and then some people got tired of that, and things change. So, what do you all do? How do you all adapt some of those strategies?
With the team, how we're adapting is, text is common with accounts now. I mean, 5 years ago, very infrequently were you texting with customers.
Right.
But now many of the people we're working with, they don't even have desk phones anymore. So they all have cell phones. You don't have, receptionists in offices. So how do you get a hold of somebody? How do you follow up? Well, you got to have that relationship, and it is by, most people are preferring text to interaction. The team, spends a lot of time now, using this technology to spend more time, consultative sales. Really, they don't have to spend as much time as educating the customers because the customers are using the tools, getting the information. They're investigating on our website how to use, and they have questions. So really, we're now able to focus really on the implementation and making it unique to their needs.
Are you seeing any other type of market trends? I mean, I know, you used to have a lot more, I'd say mom and pop shops out there, but they're getting a little bit more sophisticated. They're combining this. Any other type of market trends you're seeing besides that? Or?
Well, one of the trends that, just it's a business strategy of ours is really helping our customers use less chemistry.
Right.
The chemistry itself, effectively, let's say cleaning a substrate, but as you clean off the soils, now these soils are introduced into the waste stream and it's something that's being treated, handled, and it's a cost on the backside. So being able to, minimize that, extend the life of the chemistries and effectiveness, drives costs out of the business where, water historically had been looked at as an inexpensive cost. Now it is becoming much more significant and also a liability. So there's a lot of emphasis on, reuse and reduction of the chemistries that we are selling.
Yeah, no doubt. I think I've had many shops tell me that water is the most expensive chemical they have in their building. And like you said, mention less chemistry. It's really not just a kind of a theory. I mean, a lot of it is some of these lines are just over chemistry, right? I mean, if that's a word and you really have to step back and see what does the line need. And certainly fewer is better sometimes with that, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's what I said. Some of the people you've got that are trained to see that, because I'm sure some suppliers will go out and know a product will, and just want to sell that product, but really taking a from front to back whole holistic view of it is really what should be done, I would think.
We believe in it so much that a couple of years ago, we actually acquired a company called Arbortech, which is a membrane equipment to filter out the oils out of cleaners. And, we're not just taking that, to new customers, we take it to our accounts. And to your point where, if the bath is over concentrated, it's working effectively, but every load of parts they take out, they're taking good product with it and putting it down the drain. So, being able to optimize to the lowest possible use level is the goal.
You liked it so much you bought it. So that's pretty good with that. So
Exactly.
let's talk about, like you said, when you started many, many years ago, scaling your operations, what are some of the best practices that you utilize there? Not just you, but everybody, pretty much everybody on your team, scaling your sales operations as a company grows, because that seems to be a struggle for many, many companies. They change as they grow. Let's just say it that way.
One of the things we found, customers want you to be responsive, and you get immediate answers. And historically, if I look back, you had geographic-based salespeople. That had multiple state coverage potentially, and anything that came in from that geography was then sent to that person. Well, the person could be helping a customer on a plating line, on a cleaning line, and they're not immediately available. So say 24 hours was an acceptable response. But, knowing that we have people reaching out, every day through our website, through the phone system, how do we respond to them quicker? We've actually, in the last few years, developed what we call our business development team. So it's a team of people that are inside, they're not in the field, and there are subject matter experts to be able to respond, route your questions if they go beyond what they're capable of to a team inside, whether it's the chemist or a particular product expert. And when you would like to speak to someone in the field, then we turn it over. So it's really about that responsiveness and less handoffs.
Well, it sounds like trying to find the right person to answer the right question, right? As quickly as you possibly can. Not going through so many layers, right? But really trying to decipher what the issue is, who can answer it as best and fastest the way you can, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, you mentioned, Arbortech, and I know you all have a lot of partnerships that you have that have helped you grow. Like I said, some of you've acquired and brought those products in, but you do work with a lot of other suppliers and such. So what role do you see, you said, these strategic partnerships playing, and how you expand your sales opportunities? There's
two different kind of ways I see it, where we're focusing right now is on, Arbortech, I would call it a technology play, where we have our chemistry, we're good at formulating chemistries and how to use it, but we needed a partner to optimize it. How to reduce it and dial it in. So we turned, to them, Arbortech in the case of the membrane. We also, to optimize cleaner use, we currently have a partnership with a company called Brighton Science. And what we're trying to do there is, put visibility and predictability to how clean is clean. So you're not just guessing at what concentration you are and being over concentrated. Now we're able to use a handheld tool that gives you data that you could train someone to use within 15 minutes and be repeatable. So, that would be an example of partnering, technology with our chemistries. And then, other ways we've taken our knowledge into different channels to market is, for example, we're experts in what we call stabilization of hydrogen peroxide, where we use it in harnessing and treating metal surfaces to replace chromic and nitric acid historically, for example, in brightening copper alloys. But this expertise and knowledge, hydrogen peroxide is a wonderful chemical that when it breaks down, it's clean, it's oxygen and water. But it's something that is very unstable historically. Well, because of our knowledge how to harness it, we have partnered with other people to take hydrogen peroxide, our products, into markets that aren't metal finishing. They may be the cleaners you find in a Dollar General store. They could be in a healthcare sanitizing application. We even have some going into agricultural applications. But it's our technology and stabilization, but we're not the experts in selling to the needs of that market. So we provide that product to the people that know that industry. And it's very successful partnerships.
As we kind of wrap up here, we're talking about a lot of these things of how to improve technology so your teams can talk to customers, get answers to them quicker, really speed up the communication process. Because I know with a lot of shops, it's time is everything, right? Time is of the essence. They've got a problem, they want to get it fixed, or they need to get more chemistry in, and also adapting to those changes and scaling your operations, and then like I said, these partnerships. But really what it all comes down to is, and what I think what you guys have built your reputations on is really servicing the customer, right? I mean, servicing the customer, really respecting the customer and getting the correct information to them as quickly as you possibly can. And that's key. It's not just information, it's the correct information. And I think that's what you guys have really, don't you feel, have been able to stand out amongst competitors in that regard?
Correct. And that's where we're going to continue to invest, because, using the technology, the tools that are coming out, if we can make it easier for information to be retrieved externally, it allows for us to have more time really rolling up our sleeves and finding out really what the customer is trying to achieve. So we're able to spend more time, in the plant, on the floor, helping them really meet their needs. Exciting time.
Yeah, it is. It is it's if you use the technology correctly, you're going to do well. That's why I said I think that some people aren't doing it that way. But like you said, when you can look at it and see how does this play a role in how you communicate and service the customers, it really helps both you and them, which is a rarity these days, right? But it's a big win-win for everybody. But I appreciate you taking time out and talking with us, and hopefully we'll have you back soon to talk more.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks for listening to Seen and Solved by Hubbard-Hall. For more episodes, visit hubbardhall.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to like and subscribe, rate and review, and join us on social media. Produced by Awcast.